The year is 1922, a time of great change and uncertainty. Europe is still recovering from the Great War, with nations striving to rebuild and heal from the scars left behind. In the quaint Austrian town of Feldkirch, nestled amidst the towering Alps, life carried on at a slower pace, untouched by the chaos that had engulfed the continent. Paul D. Neach, a young schoolmaster, was a beloved figure in the community, known for his dedication to his students and his unwavering commitment to education. He was known for his gentle demeanor, his passion for history, and his captivating storytelling, which transported his students to different eras and places. Paul believed in the power of knowledge and dreamt of a brighter future for humanity, one where understanding and wisdom would prevail over ignorance and conflict. He filled his days with teaching, reading, and exploring the picturesque landscapes surrounding his hometown, finding inspiration in the beauty of nature. Paul found solace in the pages of history books, often losing himself in tales of bygone eras, where he could escape the present and immerse himself in the past. He was particularly fascinated by ancient civilizations and the mysteries of time, pondering the rise and fall of empires and the lessons they held for the future. Little did he know that fate had an extraordinary journey in store for him, a journey that would transcend the boundaries of time itself and challenge his understanding of reality. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the cobblestone streets, Paul felt a sense of anticipation in the air. Paul decided to visit the local library, a place where he often sought refuge and inspiration. He was eager to delve into a new book on ancient astronomy, hoping to share its wonders with his students and ignite their curiosity about the cosmos. As he made his way through the dimly lit streets, his mind wandered to the vastness of the universe and the countless mysteries it held, feeling a deep connection to the stars above. It was during this evening stroll that the course of Paul's life would take an unexpected turn, forever altering his destiny and propelling him into the annals of history as a man who had glimpsed the distant future. A future that would forever change his understanding of the world and his place within it. The air was thick with the scent of pine needles and damp earth, a familiar and comforting aroma that always reminded Paul of his childhood adventures in the woods. As Paul walked beneath a canopy of ancient trees, their towering forms seemed to whisper secrets of the past, their leaves rustling softly in the gentle breeze. He was on his way back from the library, his satchel heavy with books. The weight of knowledge pressed against his side, a comforting burden that he had grown accustomed to over the years. As he rounded a bend in the path, a sudden and intense thunderstorm erupted, unleashing a torrential downpour upon the unsuspecting town. The sky darkened ominously, and the first drops of rain splattered against the leaves. Lightning flashed, illuminating the sky in a blinding white light, casting eerie shadows that danced among the trees. The thunder roared, echoing through the mountains like the wrath of a vengeful god, each clap reverberating through the forest and shaking the very ground beneath Paul's feet. Seeking shelter from the relentless storm, Paul stumbled upon a small, dilapidated shed. Its weathered wood and sagging roof offered a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos. The wooden structure creaked and groaned under the onslaught of wind and rain, but it offered a semblance of protection from the elements. Paul could feel the cold seeping through the gaps in the walls, but it was better than facing the storm head-on. As he stepped inside the dilapidated structure, a deafening clap of thunder shook the very foundations of the shed, making the walls tremble and the roof rattle. The ground beneath him seemed to dissolve as a searing pain shot through his body, a sensation so intense that it left him gasping for breath. His vision blurred and darkness enveloped him, pulling him into an abyss where time and space ceased to exist. The last thing he remembered was the metallic scent of ozone filling his nostrils, a sharp and acrid smell that signaled the presence of electricity in the air. Unbeknownst to Paul, a freak accident had occurred. The storm's fury had converged upon this very spot, setting the stage for an extraordinary event. The lightning bolt, drawn to the metal hinges of the shed door, had struck mere inches from where he stood, its energy coursing through the structure with a terrifying force. The electrical current had surged through his body, leaving him unconscious and clinging precariously to life. His body lay motionless, a fragile vessel caught in the storm's wake. He would remain in this state, suspended between life and death, for what seemed like an eternity. The world outside continued to rage, but within the shed, time stood still, holding its breath for what was to come. When Paul finally regained consciousness, he was met with a disorienting scene. His mind was foggy, and it took a moment for him to realize he was no longer in the familiar surroundings of his old life. Gone was the musty darkness of the shed, replaced by a blinding white light that emanated from every surface. The intensity of the light made him squint, his eyes struggling to adjust to the sudden brightness. He tried to sit up, but a dull ache pulsed through his body, forcing him back onto the soft, yielding surface beneath him. The pain was unlike anything he had felt before, a deep, throbbing sensation that seemed to resonate from within his very bones. As his vision slowly began to clear, he realized he was lying in a bed unlike any he had ever seen before. The design was so foreign, so advanced, it felt like he had been transported to another world. It was sleek and metallic, with strange glowing panels on either side. The panels emitted a soft hum, adding to the surreal atmosphere of the room. Wires snaked out from beneath the thin sheets, disappearing into the wall behind him. They pulsed with a faint rhythmic light, as if they were alive. Panic surged through Paul as he struggled to comprehend what had happened. His heart raced and his breathing became shallow and rapid. Where was he? How had he gotten here? The questions echoed in his mind, each one more urgent than the last. His mind raced, desperately searching for answers in the unfamiliar surroundings. Every detail seemed to hold a clue, but none made any sense. As he glanced around the room, his heart pounded in his chest. The sterile, clinical environment only heightened his sense of unease. Every surface was smooth and sterile, resembling a futuristic laboratory rather than any hospital room he had ever encountered. The air was cool and carried a faint, antiseptic smell. Suddenly, the door to the room slid open with a hiss, and a figure stepped inside. The sound startled Paul, making him flinch. The stranger was tall and slender, with an air of calm authority about them. Their presence was both reassuring and intimidating. They were dressed in a simple, form-fitting uniform of some unknown material, and their eyes held a curious glint as they studied Paul with detached interest. It was clear they had answers, but whether they would share them was another matter entirely. "Ah, Mr. Dinek, you are awake," the figure said, their voice smooth and androgynous. "I assure you, you are safe. You are in the Central Medical Facility of Neo-Vienna. It is the year 3906, a time far beyond your own." Paul stared back, his mind reeling with disbelief. 3906? It was impossible. He had been struck by lightning, yes, but surely not transported nearly 2,000 years into the future. As if reading his thoughts, the figure gestured towards the window. Paul slowly turned his head and gasped in astonishment. Gone were the rolling hills and quaint towns of his Austria. In their place stood a colossal metropolis that stretched as far as the eye could see. Towers of glass and steel soared into the clouds, connected by shimmering threads of light. Strange, bird-like vehicles zipped through the air, leaving trails of iridescent vapor in their wake. This was not the world he knew. Overwhelmed, Paul could only manage a whisper. "What happened to the world?" The figure smiled sadly. "Much has transpired, Mr. Dinek. Humanity faced great trials, but also achieved unimaginable progress. Come, when you are stronger, we will explain everything in detail." And so began Paul's incredible journey into the heart of a future he never could have imagined.